Testing. All right, it's now 5 o'clock. Good evening. I call the meeting of the North Stonington Board of Education to order at 5 p.m. Let the record show that a quorum is present, and let's stand for the pledge, please. Okay, is there any public comment tonight? Come on up to the podium, please.
John Gatchone, Norwich Wesley Road. I just wanted to say I attended a event today, veteran celebration at North Stonington Elementary School, that I found to be absolutely awesome, as always. And I really appreciate that, putting it on and putting all the effort in for the veterans. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great event.
Just a couple quick notes. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the candidates that were elected this election season, and thank each and every one of the board members for their volunteer work that they do on behalf of the town. And on another note, I had mentioned this to the Board of Finance a while back, but I thought it would be important to let you guys know, folks know that as treasurer, I deal a lot with the school business manager and the accounting with both Kathy and Mar. And this is the best we've ever had in the years that I've served the town since back in 2007, that we've had great cooperation between the school and the general government side. We have a excellent accounting generalist at the town hall now. People are communicating. The monthly reconciliations are going on, happening. We previously had trouble reconcile between the school, what the school had on their records and the town. And we're staying up on that, and everything's running smoothly. And I'd like to make sure that the board knew that, and those folks should be appreciated for the work they do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I don't have any correspondence. Does anybody else have any correspondence? Okay, so we've come to the election of officers of the Board of Education. As you know, the board is required to elect a chairperson, a vice chairperson, and a secretary. The process we'll follow this evening is to take nominations and hold a vote for each office, beginning with the office of chairperson, followed by vice chairperson, and then secretary. So we'll begin with the election of chairperson. The floor is now open for nominations for the office of chairperson. I'll await nominations.
I'd like to nominate Christine Wagner.
Okay, we have nomination of Christine Wagner. Do we have other nominations for chairperson?
I'd like to nominate Chet Stefanovich.
Okay, we have Chet Stefanovich.
I second.
Okay, here, do we have any other nominations for chairperson? All right, hearing no further nominations, I am closing nominations for chairperson. There are two nominees. We have Christine Wagner and Chet Stefanovich, and we're going to have to take a roll call on those. So all those in favor of, yes, go ahead.
Discussion?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, you can have discussion. Let's have discussion.
Okay, then I'll start then. So I'm appealing to for all of you board members to please consider Chet. So I need you to think beyond the party here in this case, and to think about somebody who is highly qualified and very eager to take on this position. Chet is one of the smartest people I know, and his knowledge of Robert's rules, the policies, our bylaws, our state statutes are just probably one of the best that I've ever seen. He'd be effective as a chair because he listens and he's willing to cross party lines all the time and talk to you all. And he's a great communicator. And so I overheard him talking when we were waiting around for our poll numbers, and he was talking with one of the members of the Board of Finance and talking about how he's traveled around the world a lot and he speaks Spanish and he's a Spanish teacher, so he's an educator. And one of the things that stuck out to me was he said that he likes to figure out a way to communicate with people. And I think that that's a quality that we really need here on the board. We've kind of been lacking communication. And I think that's just a testament to how Chet really does try to communicate with all of you. And he really does care. So more importantly, we're all volunteers, and Chet wants to be it. I want to be a chair, right? And he actually really does want to do this. And he cares about the board and the students and the staff. So I just hope you consider voting for him, not because a party is telling you to, or another board is telling you, but because we really need somebody strong to help us get our board, put our board forward.
I guess I can speak on my own behalf a little bit. I agree. I think Chet is a huge asset to the board. Initially, I didn't want to pursue this again. Time was the biggest reason. In addition to when I went out last time, it was obvious that members didn't want me to be the chair. I think that has changed. I do have more time now. After being requested to step back into the role, I did reconsider it. I thought about it. I do have the time now, and I think I can work through the role more efficiently. I've observed the last 2 years. I've learned a lot, and I can feel that I can lead us in the right direction as I have in the past. work with a lot of the Board of Finance members. I know a lot of them. I can continue to strengthen that relationship. And I think we, as a board, we need to shift our focus back onto our students, supporting our teachers and our administrators, and making collaboration with the Board of Ed members the priority. We need to listen to each other, regardless of what side of the aisle we are on. Really, the role of the chair is to facilitate meetings and keep the communication open between the board and the superintendent and ourselves. Our focus should be on policy and finance. I don't have a child in the school anymore, which makes me a little more objective than being a parent in the past. I have a full understanding of our budget. I feel we can work together to be fiscally responsible. I have the most experience with the budget process, and I have a lot of thoughts on how we can make it smoother for everyone. Communication of the meetings outside of the Board of Ed are really, really important, and I really saw that in the last couple of years. Before meeting with someone else, I think the chair should alert the Board of Ed that that's going to happen. I think other members should be allowed to participate in that if possible. And I also think that there should be a debriefing to every board, to the board by email or whatever the best communication plan is of how those meetings go. There are times when the chair needs to brought into emergency situations on very short notice. My job allows me extreme flexibility. I can be out the door in a minute. I'm 25 minutes away from here, but I can still adjust, change that. I have that flexibility that I think is really important. I think we need to streamline our meetings. I think that they need to be shorter. I would like to see us have a stop time on our meetings to keep us on track. And if possible, I think we should really also entertain getting down to 1 meeting a month are some of the things that I've been thinking about. So I regardless of how this goes, I just hope we can all get to a place where we work together, that we listen to each other, and that we're moving forward for our students, which is the most important part of what we do here.
Any further discussion?
I have a statement to make. 1 week ago, I had bipartisan support to be the chair of this board moving forward. Since that time, an election occurred, and in the contested portion of that election for Board of Ed, I garnered the most votes. I've done nothing in that time period to make any person question my ability or my integrity. The only change that occurred was the decision regarding the chairmanship of this board became a political move to recover control for a party that was defeated in those elections. I'm saddened and disappointed that politics took priority over bipartisan cooperation. I'm especially ashamed that the absence of one member of our normally balanced board is being used to assert control that was clearly not intended based on the results of our election. The convenient timing of that resignation has now created a situation in which partisan politicking has usurped the will of our voting public and provided a discrepancy that is being exploited. This board is meant to be about what is best for our schools and our students. I believe that my educational knowledge, coupled with my understanding of policy and process, would make me the best candidate for this position. We had looked to change leadership 2 years ago because of a lack of communication from the prior chair. This did not improve over the past 2 years. I believe I can change that moving forward. However, unfortunately, it feels like a technicality has already predetermined the outcome of this election.
Any further discussion? Okay. Those in favor of Mrs. Wagner as chair of the Board of Education, say aye. Okay. And those in favor of Chet Stefanowicz for chair of the Board of Education, say aye. Okay. The votes are 4 for Mrs. Wagner and 3 for Mr. Stefanowicz. Congratulations to Ms. Wagner as chair. I can continue on for the other officers. Okay, so we move to the election of vice chairperson. The floor is open for nominations for the office of vice chairperson.
I'd like to nominate Judy Main for vice chair.
Okay.
I second it.
I know.
Any other nominations for vice chairperson?
I nominate Chet Stefanovic.
Okay, so we have two nominations for vice chairperson, Judy Main and Chet Stefanowicz. Are there any other nominations? Okay, we're going to close nominations and any discussion. All right, hearing no discussion. All those in favor of Judy Main as vice chairperson of the Board of Education, say aye. Okay, all those in favor of Chet Stefanowicz as vice chair of the Board of Education, say aye. Okay, we have a vote of 4 for Judy Main and 3 for Chet Stefanowicz. Okay, moving on to the election of secretary. The floor is now open for the office of secretary. Taking nominations.
I nominate Jamie Toll-Weixel for secretary.
Okay, we have one nomination. Do we have other nominations for secretary of the Board of Education? All right, hearing none, we're going to close nominations. Would anybody like to offer discussion? All right, hearing no discussion, all those in favor of Dr. Jamie Toll-Weixel as Secretary of the Board of Education, say aye. Okay, that's roughly so shows unanimous vote, 7 in favor. Okay, so the board has now completed the election of officers. Congratulations to our newly elected chairperson, Mrs. Wagner, vice chairperson, Mrs. Main, and secretary, Dr. Toll-Weixel. I now turn the gavel over to the new chairperson, Mrs. Wagner, to continue proceeding over the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm now turning over the meeting to Mrs. Wagner, the newly elected chairperson of the Board of Education.
Thank you. And we have 2 presentations tonight, student success. Come on up.
Is it on? Okay. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see you tonight. This is a really prideful night for all of us sitting here when we hope to give you a little bit of a snapshot into the programming and the work that we do on behalf of our students. And we're going to talk a lot about everything, actually, not just about test scores, but the programming that actually makes, I think, our school one of the best places that there is. So, clicker, I have, hold on. Draw that. Okay, so I'm going to begin with some of the programming at Wheeler. I think that number continues to kind of pique our focus a little bit. That 66.1% of students in Connecticut are going on to college after high school. That number in the last 5-6 years continues to go down a little bit more. So obviously our role is to make sure that our programming is designed to support all students, regardless of their pathway. So we really, in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, have put a lot of focus on our pathway opportunities and our students that we know want to go into the workforce immediately after high school. So a couple of things that I want to brag a little bit about. I think one of the greatest things that all of us do is that we really work hard to align and make those 3 district goals meaningful for all of us. The safe, valued sense of belonging specifically. We've added a lot of things in the last couple of years. I'm going to just highlight a couple. You can read certainly all of them that are up there. But that work study option I want to highlight has really started to take off. We have students that know they want to work after high school. So we're really working hard with our CTE person in the building who happens to be here tonight, Noelle Devine, and she's going to talk a little bit as well with me to make sure we're really providing those opportunities for students who want to do that, whether it's through our EB pipelines with the Westerly Ed Center, or whether it's with programming in-house that we're going to speak to in a moment that we're really trying to keep some of our North Stonington students in-house. Our advisory program continues to be updated so that we're really hitting the needs of our student, whatever those are. And they change from year to year. So we don't have a canned program. We try to make it meaningful and up to date and relevant for our students. This year, we've actually pulled seniors out of it, and they have their own advisory program that highlights and focuses on the things that they need to know before they exit Wheeler. So obviously it's the first year we've done this. We're excited about it because we do think it's going to make that a little bit more meaningful for our seniors. We've made a lot of positive changes in our media center that I'm very proud about. I think if you walk into Wheeler right now, you will see a very different media center vibe. We have programming that we've put in place for students. We're trying to change that lens to make it a makerspace where kids can come in and find what it is that interests them, a place where they can get academic support. So I'm excited to see where this goes over the next 2 years. We do have a 2-year plan in place that we're working on as well. As far as instruction goes, we're working really hard, like I said, in those pathway opportunities. We have students in the education pathway that are working in the Cub Club, that are working in the elementary school. They're shadowing, they're paired up with mentor teachers. We have obviously that continued collaboration experience between the elementary, middle, and high school. We had, I believe, 8th graders going in to do coding in kindergarten, right? Correct? We have science exchange happening where they're coming up to the lab in science. So we're really trying to build off on those collaborative opportunities between our schools. And then obviously our processes, I'm going to say the biggest one we've added at Wheeler has been Securely Hall Pass. Game changing. It's keeping kids in the classroom. It's giving us the data that we need to better support students. And I do think it's just making the time with their teachers a lot more focused and meaningful without all of those disruptions. Obviously, we continue that tuition movement. We have 32 students currently enrolled from Preston and Voluntown. I cannot say enough about yes, what it does for them, but what it does for our students, actually, if you really, we'll go into a little bit more detail later, but it's such an important piece of what we do. I am going to invite Noelle up here real quick because this is something that I'm very excited about that I'm hoping has the potential to keep some of our students in-house.
Hi. Last year I wrote a grant as we were part of the normal Perkins distribution, but there are also additional grant funding you can get for a lot of money. If you have a really great idea or something innovative or something you can bring to our students. And there was definitely a need for a manufacturing space and to update our space. We built a partnership with the Youth Manufacturing Initiative, which is part of the Eastern Workforce, where there's a whole bunch of funding that is also available because now we are part of that. Not only that, but our students are being trained with specialized curriculum that is often based on things that EB wanted and manufacturing plants wanted in the area, so that our students will actually be able to get a certificate, get those skills, and have those partnerships with our local manufacturing.
So we are really excited about the space we have over here that we currently use for Woods that we're looking to redesign and make it more of a manufacturing space. We already had the space, so it was a matter of working on behalf of getting the equipment and the programming that goes with it. So Noelle has really been the lead on this, and I look forward to hopefully being able to offer this as early as next year, next spring. And then I'm going to turn it over to Allison. We continue to be ranked high in the best high schools in US News and rankings. I think it's important to know it is not just test scores. It's about how we prepare students for college as well. And there's a variety of areas that are covered in that.
Thank you. So this just starts by showing you all the teams in both of our buildings that do review our data, both in-house and what's reported out that we're going to go over in a second. So on the left, all the data teams, all the grade level teams, we both have attendance committees that meet monthly, or I would say twice a month to review the data. And then on the right, all the measures right now that we're currently reviewing. Again, some are in-house, so IXL, some of them school-wide, and then others are what's reported out. So here we are. Here's Wheeler's last year. So our Smarter Balance data for 7th and 8th grade, we continue to be top 3 in ELA 8th grade, top 4. We're typically top three compared to our DERG and the ECC schools that we kind of compare to moving forward in high school. Important to also note, so that's the percentage that met or exceeded the goal. And then the total number of students just include on there. You know, we all realize that when we are small, 1% or one kid is up 2%, a little less than that. So 1 or 2 kids makes a huge difference. When we look at, obviously, I just like to say that each time, different than having hundreds of students when you have 50, 52 kids per grade that we're being compared to some that have 135, 160. Here's our cohort data. Honestly, it's very inconsistent. So we've been saying that. We look at it again, it's cohort data, but year to year, those are not the same students. So 1 to 4 of them may change. We lose a few, we gain a few. Really important to note here, what do we do to dig into this? So our 7th grade and 8th grade level teams look at individual student data. So we're looking at all of our students. Did they grow? Did they not grow? What's their scaled score? So when we do the tier 1 interventions in the classroom, we have identified groups of, okay, here, these students did not grow from last year. This is what we need to focus on. Here's our science and our high school SAT data. So science, just a reminder, 8th and 11th grade, they're tested. Again, percent met or exceeded and the total number of students. And then our SAT data included the mean there. So there's a lot of numbers, but again, it's met, exceeded, the number of students, and then just the mean score for each section. Important here to note, we have for a very long time, students take the PSAT 9, 10, and 11 in the fall, and then they take the SAT end of 11th grade year. That's their first true SAT. That's what the state uses. That's their school-wide or statewide data, but they take it 3 times leading up to that. And our physical fitness. So a little different when you look at this, that's the percentage that met or exceeded. It's really small. And then the state average for each one. So a little different than the others. We do the mile run in grade 8 and 10. We test all of our 10th graders. Important to note here, it's 1 day. So the day that we choose to test the mile run, that's what gets reported. Our PE teachers stick to that. Obviously, that's what you are supposed to do. And it's that 1 day, how they run the mile, that's what goes in. Since right after COVID, we have continued to every high school PE class starts the class and does push up, curl up, and pacer or laps just to kind of add to our fitness. So we have a long block, the beginning of every block, and they actually track it on a card to show them, okay, beginning of PE class to end. Hopefully those are increasing, but they do that every single class twice a week.
AP data. This is an interesting piece. There's 2 areas that we are reviewed by the state. One is how many students take AP, and the other is how many are actually getting the score 3 or higher for credit. I would say 4 years ago, the more important feature of that was, are they getting the college credit? And that has very much shifted to how many students are taking AP classes and have AP classes accessible to them. That number for us continues to grow. We have had teachers go to colleges and talk with professors about what makes students successful or not successful after they leave high school. And a lot of that we hear back, if they're not in a rigorous course or they get exposed to that type of a rigorous course, it's a lot harder for them when they transition. So I'm proud to say that we have more and more students who take AP courses. This year, we've added some more opportunities for sophomores to take some AP courses because we know that that rigor is really important in determining their success when they do leave us and go on to school, if that's the choice or the pathway that they're on. And then I think it's just important for all of us to note that we look at students holistically. We're not focused on any one pathway, any one test. We're trying to make sure that we're looking at the whole student, every aspect of that and what it means. So we continue to build programming to make sure that's what we're doing. Our interventionists are delivering all tier 2 and 3 math and ELA, but right now one of our focuses is that we're going to do some more work with our tier 1 teachers in classrooms and knowing that those are the kids that we can make the most impact with, because really our tier 2 and 3 are small numbers of students. We review the data every 6 to 8 weeks. We have created some win time during FlexBlock that allows students to really focus on what they need. We have more choice boards, interdisciplinary lessons, and really lessons that also focus on executive functioning, which we know can be detrimental for students when they leave if they haven't been able to work on that. We provide the same opportunities for extra help, whether it's homework club, and then different levels of practice, skill-based practice. Obviously, we continue because we're finding it very successful for our students, that academic support class. So some students can choose to do a regular study hall. Some can be recommended to take academic support, which is much more focused. There are teachers there in English, math, sometimes science that are able to help them. All those changes over the course of the few years have really helped students be more successful, no matter what pathway they're on. And then as a district, we continue that restorative work academically and socially, just getting students to understand their role in this process, how to repair something when they make a mistake. And I would say the biggest thing right now is we're working on is resilience, getting students to realize that you could fail and you can still recover. You can get back up. So we find ourselves, we have grade level meetings every quarter talking to students about this. Yep, you failed. What's the next best option is not quitting, but that happens to be what they choose to do in many of these cases. So we continue to work on that, knowing that we have a long way to go, I think, everywhere outside of our school. I think this is just something that has become more and more prominent as we've gotten past COVID. And then I just want to end on, and I say it all the time. At first it was, let's bring tuition students in and let's see how it goes. I can't say enough about what I see as a building principal, bringing in these 10 students to each cohort that we have. Some cases it's 8, some cases it's less than that, some years it's 10. I will tell you, we're starting to become more popular as a school of choice. I think we had, maybe 28 students show up at our open house last week. We have 10 spots, and that wasn't everybody who was signed up to come. We're luckily able to be selective with who we choose. We want students who want to attend our high school. We want students who say to us that they need the small school. Many of them will talk about going from a small school to a huge school like NFA. They recognize that that's not the right choice for them. And then others do. We went and spoke at Preston and Voluntown last week, and there were many who said, this is the right choice for me. But I think that's the key, is knowing what works for every individual child. I can't say enough about the friendships, the relationships, the collaboration between Preston and North Stonington right now. We have our 8th graders are getting together regularly. I just can't say enough. It does more for our students, I think, sometimes, just to change up groups, to get to know new people, to know what the world outside of this little bubble, because this is a very little bubble that we're in, what that's going to be like. And it's just another opportunity for our students to grow. They are participating in sports, Model UN, every aspect of our school culture, those students are involved in. And it's taken a little bit, but I definitely think it's one of the best parts of our school right now. April.
Good evening, everybody. So I just wanted to put together here the special education annual performance report data from 2023 and 2024. This is kind of a condensed version of that data. And we continue in North Stonington to meet all of the IDEA, which is the Individuals with Disability Education Act's compliance requirements. And we're moving forward in a lot of great ways. Our inclusion rates continue to rise, meaning kids are being more in the classroom with their general education peers, which is amazing. And we have made some significant progress with our chronic absenteeism. And we have actually dropped below the state norm, so that's great. Really, the heart of this progress really connects back to what we've kind of already talked about tonight, which is that work at the Tier 1 level. We place strong focus on strengthening core instruction and ensuring classroom practices are accessible and consistent for all learners. Really, we know when Tier 1 instruction is strong, when the instruction expectations and supports are clear, our specialized instruction and interventions become more effective and sustainable. Moving forward, our focus is continuing to strengthen those Tier 1 practices, collaboration between general education and special education, consistent progress monitoring, and ensuring every classroom has the tools and strategies to support our most diverse learners. So this is I wanted to just highlight one of the programs that we have going on right now this quarter at Wheeler. So I wanted to me speaking to it isn't going to do it any justice. So I wanted to show a little video that we put together. Oh, do I have to share access to it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we'll go, we'll come back. Perfect.
Oh, this isn't working. It's this button, right? Oh. Yeah. I think he wants to, he's going to advance it through there. Nope. I can't. It says it's advanced, but it's not. Not me. Maybe. I don't know how. Let me try to click. All right. Okay, so we're going to talk about North Stonington Elementary School. All right. So in terms of our supporting the whole student, again, because this is the most important work that we do. First off, one of the things that we're working on this year is our new climate plan. This is going to be created. This is per a new Connecticut state law, and I know you guys have all voted in on the new legislation on that, the new bylaws. So this is something that we're going to be working on with Learn, with other administrators throughout the area. Mrs. Reyes is going to be attending as well. And this is going to ensure our adherence to that law. This law is making sure that we have systems in place to support all students. Again, I'm not going to read what's up here, just you can read what is here, but some of the things I do want to highlight is, first of all, is our band and chorus. So this collaboration that we've done now with the middle school has been fantastic. We've seen an incredible response by freeing up Mrs. Francis to teach chorus at the elementary school only and not with sixth grade. She's been able to expand the course to fourth and fifth grade, and we've seen a huge, a bigger than threefold turnout
in students who want to take part in course. And we've also seen a big jump in students who are taking band as well. So it's been nice. We've been trying to rebuild that music program for a couple of years now. And we feel like we're taking some real positive steps for that. We have also a lot of students who are still taking part in our middle school sports. So again, that collaboration with Wheeler has been great. In terms of innovative instruction, we're really starting off this year by building on the work that we did last year with Hill for Literacy under our ELA. This is going to be our first year of implementing our newly devised district literacy plan. We've expanded that district literacy team as well, so we're including more upper grade level teachers on that. And we are also continuing with our science of reading training that was all part of that work. As well, we're also in our first year of implementing the Bridges math program. As you know, we piloted it last year and the Board of Ed agreed for us to adopt that. So we're in our year one of implementation with that. And we are also piloting for pre-K this year. They're piloting the Bridges program as well. Some things that we've instituted this year, some new monthly common plan times, and that's giving us more time to kind of dig into the data that we're seeing from not only our benchmarks, but also just the daily work that's going on in the classrooms. This provides us with more focus work and allows the teachers to really look at the individual student level, which is where we know that we need to spend some time. We're also not looking at just the students who need extra reinforcement, but we're also being able to look at students who need some enrichment as well. So another new facet for us this year is doing a building-wide data review before, or I should say after, our fall and winter benchmarks and preceding our spring benchmark. And that work is led by our program supervisors in both math and ELA. So I invited Mrs. Scanapieko, who is our lead teacher, but also our math program supervisor, to come up and talk just a very little bit about what that data work looks like when they're evaluating benchmark data.
Good evening. So as they were talking as well as the high school, as we're looking at all children, we're doing the same thing in the elementary school. So we're really focusing on at least 3 times a year, looking at all the data, whether it's SBAC, unit assessments, their benchmark assessments, and just making sure that all kids are either moving in the right direction, whether they are lacking growth or they need more enrichment. So we're making sure that we're looking at all of their test scores, talking about it with their the interventionist, the math interventionist, the reading interventionist, the school counselor, and the school psychologist. We're all sitting down, at least, like I said, 3 times a year and just looking at that data and deciding what else can we do for every child. So that's been a great growth this year in our school-wide, making sure that we're not missing any child and making sure that all children are making growth.
And then in terms of our goal for transparent and efficient, we could continue our work with our parent advisory. This year, we're going to be implementing our new standards-based report cards, which are hot off the press. We're still finalizing them right now. So hopefully we'll be good to go by December 10th when they come out. But we're excited about that work. That's something initiative that we started over 3 years ago. We've started that work. And so now it's finally coming to fruition. So we're happy to see that. And of course, we continue our regular school improvement teams and our parent feedback from our parent advisories and other surveys that are put out. And that really helps us to drive our school improvement plan. All right. So we are also very pleased to be ranked among the best elementary schools in Connecticut from U.S. News and World Report. We were in the top 15% of all schools in Connecticut. Most impressive to me, though, was our math rank of 67 out of 835 schools. And our performance in math has been deemed as well above expectations. So really excited about the work that we're doing there. So take a quick look here at our Smarter Balance assessment data. This is for grades 3 and 4, ELA and math. As you can see, great scores. This is us related to our DERG as well. You can see the state average in the yellow. This is typical of scores that we see here at North Thornton Elementary School. And I'd like to say, I think we expect this every year. So here's there's 5th and 6th. Again, we can see that our math scores in 5th and 6th grade, we're right up at the top, but we're doing very well as compared to our area schools and especially against the state. And our grade 5 science. So this is 5th grade is the first year that they take the science test. So it's new to all the students, and we're happy to see that we have at least 64% of them are able to meet proficiency in that test. So again, here's our cohort data. And as Mrs. Reyes said, really what the message is here is inconsistency. And I think it's due to our small class sizes. It's really hard for us to look at this data and really get a sense of where our students are moving as a cohort, because if we lose a student or if we gain a couple of students, it really affects our numbers. Which is why I think that data work that we do and we really drill down to the individual level, why that is so important. And it's one of the benefits of having our smaller class sizes that that makes it possible to do that when we're looking at 45 students instead of 145 students. So it really helps us to really drill in and see really what students are needing. Our physical fitness data, we can see a nice growth in our fourth grade in terms of who passed all 4 tests, and we notice a drop considerably in our 6th grade as well. Again, our students also do the mile run. They don't do the pacer test, so Mrs. Perkins does test them on that. And Mrs. Perkins starts every PE class with calisthenics. They do push-ups, they do sit-ups, they run, they stretch, jump rope. So she incorporates all that into what she does each and every day with our students. So we continue to work on our physical fitness numbers. So our big adjustment this year is our expansion of our Tier 1 interventions. So this is actually our school goal for this year. This is something that we felt as a school that we really needed to work on to make sure that we are meeting all the needs of all of our students. So some of the work that we've done is we have a new universal screener this year in ELA, which is a DIBELS 8. The state removed the one that we were using last year. So we had to adjust to the DIBELS 8 this year. And I have to commend my reading interventionist, especially my reading program supervisor, Mrs. M&M. Between her and Jackie Barry, they really had to dive in and understand the most efficient and effective way to administer this test, what data they're going to get from it, what data they're going to be able to share out with the teachers that's going to help them to drive their next level of work. A lot of work went into this small adjustment of having to do this DIBELS 8. A change that we made, we were trying to designate more small group time now in all core classes. So whatever core class it is, so if a teacher is teaching 3 periods of math, they're going to have 3 times they're going to be doing some small group work within that core period of time. And that's going to be in addition to our continued WIN blocks, or what I need now blocks, that we hold for all grade levels. And our hope is that this is going to allow more time for that direct student level instruction, but also allow interventionists or related service providers time to be able to pull students to meet those needs without them missing more of a direct instructional time. We continue with our teacher PD. Our training and coaching in Bridges' math is ongoing. We're continuing with our science of reading, and that's all part of our district literacy plan. I did ask Mrs. Canabiaco to come back up to talk a little bit about the professional development that she's providing as a program supervisor to our teachers of mathematics, because we've asked both our program supervisors to take up some level of coaching to ensure fidelity within the implementation of our new programs. So I've asked Deanna to just come up and say a few words about that.
Hello again. So throughout the year, I'm really making sure that the teachers have a really good understanding of the program. I had someone come in from Bridges at the initial start of the school year to provide professional development to all the teachers about an overview of the program for implementation of year 1. I also meet with the teachers monthly, weekly, daily, depending on the teacher's needs, and just provide professional development back. I'm constantly reading different articles or listening to podcasts and sharing that information out to teachers, and just getting best practices to be taught to the teachers. Just getting a good understanding. I'm in the classrooms every single day from kindergarten through 6th grade, and just understanding of the best practices and just encouraging the teachers to go visit each other and learn from one another. And I think that that's been very helpful to all the teachers. And I'm going in as well, coaching and modeling and doing different lessons for the teachers to have a strong understanding of that flexible thinking for the students. But just going in and helping out as well with even those that are doing like long-term subs in our building or substitute teachers, and just providing professional development and understanding of our program as well for them.
Thank you. It's really essential that when we're trying to really talk about the fidelity of implementing a new program, that there is an expert who's in the building that helps to make sure that that is happening. And I can't tell you the number of teachers who come to me, they're so grateful when they've had a chance to sit down with Deanna, look at the data, or just ask about, hey, what's the best way to kind of implement this part of the lesson? What should my number corner look like? I want to change this. These are all conversations that happen all the time, daily.
One more thing I forgot about. Mrs. Gabriel and I, she's the other math interventionist. We're also doing training for bridges for, it's countrywide. So we meet once a month and it's virtual and we get to meet with different people that are implementing bridges. We're probably one of the newest districts using bridges, but some of them have been doing bridges for like 8 to 10 years. So just hearing that information and sharing that information back and forth with the teachers has been great. So doing that as well.
Thanks. And then just in terms of, again, so our big push this year is providing that more time for that tier one instruction and more time to be looking at that data. We've been telling our teachers, we want their instruction to be fluid, responsive, and dynamic to the students that are in front of them. And in order to do that, we have to constantly be looking at how they're performing and constantly evaluating what we're doing and how can we do it to meet their needs. So Chris and I are going to talk a little bit about what allowed us to have all this success.
Yep. So I think it's obvious that this is not happening because of 3 or 4 people. This is happening because I think it's really evident that we believe in a shared leadership system, developing and building capacity. We can only be in so many places and follow initiatives through to certain points. But I think what has allowed us to be successful is first implementing that position of director of instruction and learning, utilizing that time for coaching and mentoring, having our program supervisors coaching and mentoring, having our building leads, Noelle and Deanna, in classrooms, coming to meetings with Allison and Rob and I, and really knowing our buildings. I think that has allowed all of our programs to be successful. I think half the people sitting here went through their own 92 program while in North Stonington and are now using that program in some capacity. And I think that has been our mantra these last couple of years is we all have the ability to help bring kids to where they need to be. And it doesn't happen because 1 or 2 people are leading a building. It happens because we encourage that style of leadership in our buildings.
Yeah, I echo what Kristen says. I wouldn't be able to handle most of what goes on in my building all by myself. So I am grateful that I have program supervisors who can help lead that ELA and that math work, which has been huge over the last couple of years, just in terms of onboarding 2 new programs and trying out new programs and which ones are we going to use, and then helping the teachers to implement those and to implement them correctly. And then with all the data work and everything else we have done, and not to mention, as you know, I was out for some time for some personal reasons, but I had Mrs. Scanapiac in there to fill my role as the lead teacher, which, you know, I don't know how I would have missed those days if I didn't have somebody in there in that role. So it is, I think, I really believe in building the capacity of our staff, especially those who are wanting and looking for that leadership initiative.
That's it for us, other than maybe that video, if we can play it.
Let me try to go back to that. Oops,
You haven't actually been doing anything, Rob.
oh, really? Thanks.
You maybe didn't have to share that in open
session. Okay.
Thanks anyway.
So when you see it, it's really awesome. So this quarter, we've had unified PE, which has had obviously a mix of students with varied needs and typical peers. And it's just been amazing to see. I actually went in this attire today and played volleyball. I didn't move very far because clearly I wasn't going to do well, but it's just been great to see the kids work together and it's just been so natural. Like they're just having a good time together. They assist each other. Some students don't have as much, fine motor coordination. So getting assistance with hitting the volleyball over and supporting each other. It's just been amazing to see. So I'm excited to continue doing more programs like this and expanding it further. So you can tell me about it when we send it. It's awesome.
Any questions? No? Thank you so much. We appreciate all the information. We have the Model UN presentation tonight.
I can send it again if that would be better. Okay. I can send it to a different email. I have it set so that anyone with the link can. Okay. Yeah, I can share it with.
For the people at home, we are having some technical issues regarding presentations. The presentations will be posted later so that you would be able to access them and follow them along with the actual process of the meeting. At the moment, we have a presentation from the Model UN. That presentation will also be shared later, but we have two young students who are going to go ahead and present on that either way.
Do you know if this would still work with it? Should I test? Okay.
Well, what's working for me, but just never know. Pretend like I felt good about it. Right?
Okay. 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 Hello, everybody. My name is Addison Richter, and I'm a senior at Wheeler High School. And
I'm Stella Thompson. I'm also a senior at Wheeler High School.
And we are members of Wheeler Model UN, in addition to Wheeler Debate and many other clubs at Wheeler High School. And we're here to seek approval for an experience that we think will be very beneficial to our learning at Wheeler. And yeah. So this past weekend, we actually were able to attend UConn's Model UN conference. It is a learning conference that's really focused on teaching people how to debate and negotiate and really develop like diplomacy skills. And I was lucky enough to win an award for outstanding delegate in my committee of 30 people, where we debated issues about human rights violations in fast fashion supply chains and the illegal trade of cultural goods. Want to speak on your experience?
Yes. I was a delegate in the World Health Organization, where we discussed food scarcity and malnutrition, as well as climate change and kind of how those two topics interacted with each other. And it was a very beneficial experience. Addie has been going since her sophomore year. I just started last year, and all 3 years for her and both years for me have been very helpful in my public speaking skills. They've been very helpful in debate club, I would say. And that's kind of part of why we want to broaden our horizons with this new conference.
Yes, and definitely the interaction between debate and Model UN has helped my public speaking skills, my essay writing capabilities, and many other aspects that have really benefited my high school experience at Wheeler. We are here to present about the National High School Model United Nations Conference. It is in New York City. It's from March 13th to the 16th of 2026. And we think it's going to be a really beneficial experience for us.
So we're going to cover kind of why this specific conference and go into 3 facets of it: the student immersion, staff, and the overall experience and what that will look like for us.
So in terms of students and staff, annually there's about 70 countries that are represented with students. And then since the conference's inception, there has been 130 countries represented in total, which obviously leads to companionship and collaboration with people from many different cultures who have lived very different life experiences than we have. And as 2 people who are seeking, pursuing international relations or political science of some sort in the future, Model UN and this conference specifically, we believe will very much contribute to that. Sorry.
As for the staff component, there are Model UN experts from the world's top Model UN programs. And the US News and World Report said that the NHS MUN staff featured top students from 20 out of 25 top US universities in 2025. So of course, this will be very beneficial in a sense of like networking, but also just being able to develop our skills when it comes to Model UN. Because UConn Model UN is a great program and we've had a lot of amazing experiences there, but it does have its limitations in its size and the staff who are there. Everybody there is from UConn. And there aren't like people who are Model UN experts from the world's top programs. As for the immersion, it takes place in the New York headquarters of the UN, so that is very exciting. And there are access to professional diplomats and NGO executives to talk with students about issues. I think it gets covered on another slide, but there's also like a live question segment of the conference. So I think that will be very beneficial to us.
Overall, it's a lot of access to people in the field that we want to become a part of. Last year, the keynote speaker was former President Joe Biden as the speaker at the event, which is pretty cool. So yeah.
There's a meeting with actual UN permanent missions of the countries they represent. So this kind of is creating a bridge between the model UN and the actual UN, which we don't get at the conference that we have been able to go to. And like I said, for the UN or NGO experts, there are live questions and you can discuss working together to draft resolutions.
And the resolutions is the point of the entire conference. You work with other countries to come to solutions that you think could be real world applicable. And it's really beneficial to the growth of debating skills and negotiation to try to get, because you're representing what your country believes in. For example, last weekend, I was Canada. So I was actively representing the beliefs that Canada has, the policies that they implement, and how they would act if they were in the United Nations debating the same topics that I was fortunate enough to debate.
I would also like to add that we don't have this on the slides, but judging by the sheer size of the conference, I think you could all infer that the committees themselves, which is like the groups that you're split into, will be larger. Like, I'm not sure about Addie's, but for example, mine this weekend, I believe we had about 30 students, which is great, but that's only 30 countries coming together to discuss an issue. And there are many more than that in the actual United Nations, which will be more reflected in this conference. And that kind of leads to better learning opportunities. Like even at UConn, one of our friends who also was there, he was the country Haiti. And that's a country that I have never done any research on personally. And I felt like I learned a lot about that and the relation to food insecurity, malnutrition there. And that was like one of my main takeaways from this weekend. And I think that we could all benefit from more of that. And that would be very prevalent at this conference.
Especially coming from a very small town where not many diverse cultures are represented. We have both found Model UN to be very eye-opening in that way. And obviously on a bigger world stage like the United Nations, those countries are represented well, and seeing that live would be incredible. In terms of benefits, sorry, as we've mentioned countless times, improved public speaking and debate, better negotiation skills, hands-on learning as you're working to collaborate on real-world issues, deeper understanding of other cultures and international relationships, and the ability to make connections with new people. That fourth bullet point of deeper understanding of other cultures and international relationships, I think that's like one of the most important things about Model UN. And you find yourself working with other countries who you may not know anything about, but because your values are aligned, that is something that is really interesting to me. I worked with countries like Italy and the UK and the United Kingdom and Nepal this weekend to draft resolutions, and that was really an interesting experience because you learn so much about other cultures that you would never even know about.
And additionally, I would say that on the subject of this deeper understanding of other cultures and international relationships, sometimes at a conference like UConn Model UN, it does tend to become more like there's a lack of focus sometimes, I would say, on students actually accurately representing their delegations. And that can kind of interrupt the point of the debate itself. And I think at a conference like this, that's on a larger scale and represents more delegations, we would be able to kind of see students leaning more into that aspect of it and actually trying to make negotiations, trying to learn rather than like going out for these awards or just being there because they were told to be there.
Yeah. And I think also on that note, being able to create more resolutions, I think is super important, because in my committee, we only ended up passing one, but we all wrote one, and it turned into more of like a friend-based thing, and like the friendships that were created in terms of voting for each other's, when at this conference it's not a learning conference, it's more serious. So being able to draft resolutions and pass resolutions that truly reflect the values that your country believes in is super important to our growth as future politicians or future international relations people. In terms of cost, we have a breakdown on the next slide of what it would be. Ms. St. Germain has been so kindly supporting us with getting a grant. So the participant fee comes to $155 or $165, and we're going to have 5 delegates attending this conference, which leads to $825. The delegation fee, it's a one-time fee for our group of people, and that's $95. And then since we are not a school that is in New York City, we are required to stay at a specific hotel that is run, like owned or not owned, but in partnership with the organization. And they block rooms out for people. So we would have 2 different hotel rooms that are at 2 different prices. So the first one, which is a 2 double bed, would be $389 for 3 nights. That comes to $1,167. And then the second one for our advisor comes to $329 a night. So the total cost for the conference and hotel fees would be $3,074. And we are looking for other sources such as the Education Foundation and the Rotary Club and our own fundraising to support and like outweigh the fees that would be for food and train transportation.
So just for a little conclusion here, I would like to reiterate kind of like Addie was saying earlier, like we personally are in the debate club, we're in Model UN, National Honor Society. The group has student athletes, students in all kinds of clubs and activities, who do all kinds of volunteering for the school. All of this to say, it is like a small community, but robust academically and within extracurriculars. And while we do, of course, like appreciate, we're all avid supporters of using the resources that Wheeler has been able to give to us. And its small size is one of its like unique features that I feel like makes Wheeler a very helpful, conducive learning environment, very personal. But I think we all understand there are certain like limitations to having a school that's so small. And for our club, especially because it is so small, it's hard to reach out and have these other experiences. So we hope that you will be approving of our attempt to broaden our horizons, reach out, learn in a different way, and show Wheeler's best at this conference.
Thank you so much.
I just want to throw this out there. These girls jumped in about 2 hours ago to do this presentation because Anna was going to give this presentation and she was sick. I also want to say that Addie has come to me multiple times, organized it, priced it, had a plan. So shout out to both of them for how awesome they just did. And I support this 1,000%. Mrs. Tavares is willing to go with them. I think this is, you don't have to worry about it, all great opportunity. And we're actually working some other grant options. So they shouldn't have to fundraise too much for this, as long as you approve it.
So just so I'm clear, so the ask is to approve for them to go. Okay. I didn't know if there was a monetary ask with that, or I wasn't quite sure.
So before I make the motion here, I just want to say it never ceases to amaze me to see our students speak in situations like this, both the people that we have on the board and students who come in different situations to talk. When you're talking about improving your public speaking, you're there. Like the next step is just gravy. So wonderfully done. And I'd like to make a motion to approve the trip to New York for the Model UN.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I just have a question. So Mrs. Tavares will be accompanying the students. So will parents be able to go, or what are the parameters for like supervision while they're at the UN?
Yes, so we only have 5 delegates going, one of which I believe will be Miss Tavares' daughter. And due to our cost limitations, we didn't open up the trip to parents because that would include more rooms that we'd have to pay for and would increase the cost. And we didn't want that to hinder our ability to go. And Miss Tavares was more than happy to accompany us on this trip. Is that okay?
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor? Okay. Great. Have a great time.
Yeah, so staffing updates, there's no new staffing updates that I haven't already shared. The last time I was asked about the elementary school nurse, the elementary school nurses decided to stay. I did share that with the board by email, but publicly. So we're not looking for a nurse. And I wanted to point out that I had copies of this in my office, so I thought it was an appropriate time to give board members the copies of this brochure and this booklet. You may have had them in the past, but here's an extra copy for you because we do have new member, and we also got new elected members, and I felt like it was just a good time to do that, just to remind everybody that those resources are available on how to be a board member. We do have someone sign up for the CABE convention. We do have Mr. Austin and maybe Mrs. Friend who might be attending the whole day training for new board members in December. So it's just an opportunity, I think, to rethink about the board and how it's running and all that and how we're doing as a board.
Does
Join
Amy know about that new board? You did find out? Okay, great.
And just to let you know that the teacher's contract that starts July 1st is sitting at the town hall for its 30 days and it needs to be there. It's been posted on their webpage. It's been stamped. And so that's been there since, I think, October 30th, I believe it was stamped, and you all had voted for that the last meeting. So that's there. So that's in process. Other than that, I don't have anything for a report tonight. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Troy. I have nothing to report, obviously. Student ambassador.
Good evening. Hope everyone's doing well. Got my student report. Gonna start with the high school. We'll start with Spirit Week. It was great. Everyone from the freshmen to the seniors participated. Biggest thing was probably the hallway decorating. You know, everybody gets together for this week. Decorates their hallway with a different theme. It's just the small things that, you know, put it together. Everybody gets together before the games that we have during our Olympics, which is before homecoming. Homecoming was a success. DJ was great. Everyone had a fun time. I think it was awesome. Moving on to the Wheeler Music Department, they just collaborated with Plainfield and Tolland High Schools for a combined chamber singers concert. More of these programs are on the horizon to continue to rebuild the music since COVID kind of really affected them. Sixth graders are also participating in a music program this year at Wheeler, and we join our holiday concerts this school year. This is part of the transition work we do to prepare our incoming students for the life at Wheeler and, you know, what we do here. For athletics, Miss Mack will be here at the next Board Ed meeting to look at the program success. But the winter sports registration open and parent meeting is on November 12th. The fall sports banquet is on November 18th. The Preston and Voluntown visits. So our admin team, along with a team of students, are visiting both Voluntown and Preston's 8th grade classes to present a Why Wheeler presentation. This past week, Wheeler also hosted an open house for the Preston Voluntown students, which was talked about before. And 26 students showed up and are interested in the school, but will continue to maintain our cap of students that we enroll, which 33 are. We currently have 33 tuition students, with many participating on our sports teams, debate, and Model UN teams, and in our drama productions, which was, you know, all talked about before. PSAT day was on October 28th. Everything went smoothly, and the participation was 100% from all the students, which is honestly amazing. Attendance matters. This was a flyer that was handed out. Wheeler continues to make attendance a priority. This newsletter goes home to parents quarterly so we can emphasize the importance of students coming to school. This and our regularly attendance committee meetings have helped continue to keep our attendance rate down. Another great thing that's going on. Our community outreach. The Wheeler faculty and staff adopted 2 students for Miska Stanza's holiday campaign. The district will continue to support the CT Children's Hospital and participate in their annual PJ Day campaign, which is held on December 12th. That's a Friday. Details on that to follow are NHS and MS, our collected stocking stuffers, and food for the months of November and December. And our 8th grade students are preparing meals for the North Stonington Senior Center in December to support the senior citizens and veterans in our area. That's all I have for the high school. For the elementary school, I'd like to start by congratulating all the new and re-elected members of the Board of Education. We always support you. And today we are celebrated our North Stonington veterans. We had 70 retired and active duty service men and women take part in the celebration. Honestly, that's crazy that we had 70 people come. That's great. They began with a breakfast for the veterans, which followed by an all-school assembly. The ceremony included songs by the chorus and the kindergarten students, some words from Representative Greg Howard, and recognition of all veterans in attendance. The guest speaker this year was our own Kelly Gonzalez, who was an Air Force veteran. She spoke about her time in the service and the work she did behind the Iron Curtain. Presently, the elementary school is collecting food items for both the food pantry as well for the students here. Since the shutdown has impacted so many different people, they're hoping to collect snack items for teachers just to keep in their room in case somebody needs a snack that they don't have or can't supply. Ms. Reardon is also coordinating a way to provide for those in our community in need during the holiday seasons coming. And last week, we held a parent-teacher conferences, super well attended. During the meetings, there was a pamphlet that explained the new standard-based report cards for kindergarten to fifth grade, and those will be coming home in December. Families will have a chance to hear more about those during the parent advisory on Tuesday, November 18th, the same night preceding the PTO meeting. Rehearsals have started for both the annual drama club performance as along with the school-wide talent show. The talent show is on December 5th at 6:30. And that is all I have. Thank you for listening. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Jane? Thank you so much. Old business lunch and recycling update?
Okay, I'd like to move that item to the next meeting. We had put that item on because of a special meeting in case we had information, but
Okay,
we don't.
sure. Parent pickup?
Parent pickup, I can give you a little update about how parent pickup at the end of the day is going at the elementary school. There's approximately 65 to 75 students per day that are picked up. That does not include pre-K, who are all parent pickup. The doors typically open at 3:10. And most of the students are out of the gym with their parents within 8 minutes, which is faster than in years past. There are usually 3 staff members responsible for entering numbers into the electronic system and checking off who's picking up the students. There's 1 staff member who calls students' names on the microphone, so the students can know their parents are there if they don't see them. 3 staff members are monitoring the students and assisting them getting to their parents. So it's pretty well staffed and going pretty smoothly. We do use cones outside to make sure that the cars aren't moving. And then those cones are moved. So then that's the way when it's safe to do that and when cars are able to move. Some benefits are that we're able to have a record of who's picking up the child. And the records are kept automatically with our system. Another advantage is parents take their possession of the children while they're in the school, so that creates a safer situation for them walking to the cars. You know, there have been a few parents that have stated concerns about, you know, the line being long or when the weather isn't great and families with young children and that type of thing. Have been concerns that some people have expressed. And then, of course, you know, studies would say that the safest way to and from school is on a school bus. Mr. Salino and his staff believe the system is working quite well and is much safer than it was in the past. There are some other benefits which I can't explain in public, but an executive session at some point I could.
Thank you. Jamie, did you have something?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of want to still discuss this because that is not what I've been hearing in the parent pickup line. So I've dropped down to 1 day a week picking up, and I have random parents and grandparents kind of talking to me about it, complaining, and I just keep saying, please email the principal and the superintendent your concerns. So the biggest concern is safety. There has been a few older guardians picking up, and they are really concerned about the ice and what's going to happen in the winter and getting there. And I think I echo that concern because it is a little, it could be treacherous and in my opinion, I find that the parking situation and the leaving is chaotic. It's absolute chaos. Like there's nobody out there manning traffic. So parents are just kind of going every which way. And I just, to be honest, I sit in my car and I wait until everybody clears because I just can't handle it. So that's my opinion about it. But having seen it firsthand, while I understand that it's safer to grab your child and put them in your car, I find that it's the other people, the coming into the building and the leaving is crazy.
It's been going on for a little over 2 months. And, the staff do seem to think it's safer. I think that this is really a principled decision about how to run the school and work with his staff to determine how safe. Certainly, he's open for input. And if parents or grandparents want to call Mr. Salino, he'd gladly hear their input and talk to them about it. And that's not to say he wouldn't take their input and make some tweak to the process or change the process in the future. But he's very open to hearing people's thoughts and talking to them about it. And I'm sure if someone could convince him there's a better way, he's open-minded to listen to it. But right now, the thought is that there's been significant improvements with what they've done. So I would encourage people to call Mr. Salino, talk to him, email him, call him. He's totally open to hearing people's concerns.
Troy, just a couple quick things. Could you talk to Randy just to make sure that we've got some really good eyes on what this is going to look like when we have ice and some of those things, just to kind of prevent that. And also maybe with Rob, just is there some way to help the traffic pattern at all? It sounds like that's a big part of it from what I've been hearing too. So, and I know it's hard when you're in the building, maybe to not see what's going on with that traffic pattern. As an insurance agent, I appreciate you holding back and waiting. But just maybe a couple of those things to just take a second set of eyes on if possible. Thank you.
Yes.
Right. And now the cybersecurity incident. We're going to talk about the money, I think, tonight more, right? A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit more about the money. Costs are still coming in. I just got an invoice today. And we don't yet still have all the legal fees, all those bills in yet, but those will be coming. So it's hard to put an exact number on it. But I will tell you that the overall expense is significantly higher than our last meeting. Which was 197. We're closer to we're around 273.5 total now. Now we were hoping, and we still are hoping, that 100,000 of that could be covered by insurance. We won't know until we actually make the claim and it gets approved. We did get a notice that claim is due in March. The deadline for that is in March. But we hope to submit the paperwork way earlier than that. So the badge system is going to be more money than we thought to fix that. The badge system needs to be replaced. We can't make new badges right now. So that's an additional cost. Some of the infrastructure that we've had to do. We had to buy 2 new servers. We had to purchase a lot of wiring for switches, most of which we had already purchased this summer, but we now have to install them sooner than we had planned. And as we and the other cost that we didn't really anticipate is the fact that not only do you need insurance to cover these things, right? And we did have some. But we might want to look at additional insurance moving forward to cover things like this. And there's also ways to protect yourself with software, and it's a kind of shield that has been put on all the devices, and it's costly. And for us to go with a different company right now in the middle would require us to collect all the devices again from all the teachers and take what we put on there off and put a new kind of protective software on. So I believe we should continue to use Cyber Reason and the software they put on. That's the company we work with, but there's a cost to that, and a significant cost. So we're looking at that. We do have quotes. I actually have 3 quotes for this, and one is from a different company. But and I'm working with Learn and experts at Learn who don't even help us directly. They're working for the future because they help a lot of school districts to see how can we get the cost of this protective shield down, and maybe they could subscribe and we can kind of buy in. But for right now, I don't think we can risk something else happening. So I think it's just an added cost. So when I say it's now like 273,500 estimate, so that's, you know, that's more than we had thought last time. And the fact is, we don't, suppose the insurance doesn't cover the 100,000. Well, we don't know that for sure. We don't know that for sure. We're hoping it does. But if it doesn't, we don't have the money. So I'm just telling you the best that I know about the expenses so far. And I think in the December meeting, we could hopefully give you even a bit more detail of the expenses, because hopefully all the bills will come in.
I actually have two questions. This estimate that we're at right now, does that include the cost of the call center and the cost of the light block?
Yeah, the estimated cost of the call center.
What about for the light block? The credit monitoring that we're offering?
Yes, yeah, the estimated cost of that, the
Okay.
credit monitoring in the call center, yeah.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
But we haven't got a final bill.
Would it be possible to get some kind of, I know some of them are estimates and you don't know exactly, but some kind of like a line item breakdown a little bit? Like I
Yeah.
think the cyber reason,
Yeah.
I think it would make sense to stick with what we have for this year and then have to look at something for next year. I would not want to put those teachers through turning in their devices again, or students or anybody like that, just to save a couple $1,000s. So I think you're on the right track, definitely by staying with cyber reason. But if we could just get like a list and kind of like an idea, just so that
Yep,
as that evolves,
that.
we can see what the differences are.
Yep.
That would be helpful. Any other questions about what's going on with that? I think it kind of ties into our next discussion.
And you said with the estimates, we're at 273. Does that include anticipated legal fees, or is
Yeah.
that in addition to?
No, that includes the anticipated legal fees.
Okay.
Our best guess.
Troy, there's also different programs that can wipe people's information off of the dark web. So for the amount of information that has been distributed amongst that, it'd probably be wise to look into those programs as well as LifeLock. I can share some with you, but
Okay.
it would act as a remedy and, you know, to help people who are concerned with what has been shared, because there's really no other way to get it removed. It's there forever, unless you you can hire different companies that will take care of that. There's family plans, there's different routes to accommodate.
Is the companies we are working with now already actively doing
So,
that?
well, they're getting it off. They're getting copies from it. Doesn't mean it's not still there.
They
But they're
don't
taking
remove it,
copies
they
of it.
just alert an individual that it's there. So if their information has been compromised, they get alerted.
Right.
They'll take care of any, issues that come of that, but the information does not get removed.
Right.
Yeah, it's real vague, because when I get my dark web notifications, it's like, did you have this combo password email on something 7 years ago? It's like, well, and it doesn't say what the website is or so it is a pretty
I know it's
kind of a needle in a haystack
it
hunt when
it
you're
has taken,
notified.
It has taken weeks for the company After Dark to take all of our files back off the dark web. And we do have them all. But it was a really, really slow process. So anybody who's going after that is going to have to be really patient to get any kind of information. And we are hopeful that we're going to be able to give all our staff the files back that they've lost off the server.
So when you say they're back and they're restored, does that mean they're no longer out there?
No.
It just means that we were able to get access back ourselves.
Yeah,
Is
we're
that
able
right?
to
Okay.
take copies of them.
Gotcha. Thank you. Any other questions? So thank you, Troy. If we could get that list, I think it would just be helpful for us to keep track a little bit.
And Board of Finance will ask for an itemized breakdown.
Yeah.
So the next agenda item, as a finance committee chair, I had asked to have this put back on the agenda. I wasn't at the last meeting, but I listened to it and I read the motion and I'm super confused by the numbers. Listening to Jamie try to crunch numbers, it was all over the place, which is fine because what I'd like to revisit is a conversation about, especially now in light of another $200,000 on top of our number here for cyber. I don't think it's fiscally responsible of us to be returning that year-end money right now. And just kind of hear me out on that. There's a couple of reasons. One is I think going back to the town for appropriation is never a good look. We can explain it 100 different ways. Most people won't have followed this whole process. At the end of the day, what they're going to hear is the Board of Ed is asking for more money. That's what'll be heard. And we can try to explain that away, but that's the ask. The Board of Finance or the town is in a situation where the undesignated fund is maxed out. So by returning that money to them, they're in a situation where they have to make some spending decisions. Usually for the, always for the benefit of the town, of course, but they still they can't flag that money for, oh, the Board of Ed might come for an appropriation later, so let's just hold this in a little pot on the side. We can in our non-lapsing account. I feel like we should be very fiscally responsible about it. I think we should put a line item in there that it is for the cyber. If as we're progressing through the year, if we're starting to find we are running short for special education money, we could maybe fund other things from our budget to try to stopgap that special ed piece. I just think at this point, anything we can do to avoid going to the town for an appropriation is the best thing that we could do. And if we have money that's already been designated for education, I feel strongly that it should stay in the non-lapsing account. Or move to the non-lapsing account.
I mean, we said all these points. I think all three of us feel exactly the same way still.
So I don't know what it takes to kind of reverse that decision. If we maybe make a motion and then we have more discussion about it, I'm not really sure at this point, but that's just my thoughts in looking at it moving forward.
Can I have clarification that if you do put that money into the non-lapsing account and it's supposed to be used for education, how can it be used for the cyber incident?
Because it's an educational expense at this point. When they say it has to be used for education, it doesn't mean it has to be used for books. It means anything that is funding, just like we were able to use it for fields, we were able to use it for sports, we were able to use it for anything that really belongs to the school.
I understand your confusion, though, Amy, 'cause I had the same, it didn't sit right with me at the last meeting when we were first discussing it, because using non-lapsing money for legal fees doesn't feel like it's used for education. However, truly what it is we're using the money to pay so that our students had internet and our teachers had computers, which we otherwise would not have had. And so I was also confused when I first heard it because it didn't sit right with me. But at the same time, after thinking through it, I went, okay, that makes a lot more sense. So.
And just like we put the negotiation fee line item in the non-lapsing, also attorney fees, that's what that is, so.
But I think the problem is we already voted to remove I think we're down to $1,800 in our non-lapsing account right now. So I'm not sure, how do we get the money back in there?
So the audit's not complete, so the money isn't there yet. That's the other thing. We don't even know what that number is going to look like until the audit is complete. So to put dollar signs on it, I guess for me, I would think the motion would be any excess after completion of the audit should move to the non-lapsing account.
Up to 2%.
Right, but we're not going to have.
We're not
You
over
won't, but I'm just saying.
Right.
I would make a motion that and we reverse earlier decisions to return money in excess from last budget year and instead move it into the non-lapsing fund.
I would second that. Any other discussion?
Sorry, but this motion doesn't include the reallocation of the money that we already granted in the non-lapsing, right? So what was it? I can't remember.
So what this would do, what it would mean at the moment, because until we haven't gotten any of this other money. So our non-lapsing would still be sitting at the $1,800 at the moment until we get the new influx of this money into the non-lapsing. So it's still tapped out because we don't have the other money yet.
So it's tapped out how? I guess, where did we spend it?
What we did was we didn't spend it per se, but we allocated it to the superintendent to be able to use for the cyber incident.
Okay, so it's not spent, it's just, it will be, I mean, it's allocated.
Sorry, I thought part of the urgency of this was that you needed to pay bills.
Some has been spent.
Okay,
for
and
cyber
so that was the
incident from
field,
non-lapsing.
right? The field and some of the negotiation, was that correct?
It was not, it didn't end up being the negotiation because I know that I argued against using the negotiations money because we hadn't actually closed negotiations yet, nor have we at this
It
moment.
was de-obligating 46, so I can read you the
De-obligating
motion.
46, yes.
So the motion to take 65,000 out of non-lapsing by way of de-obligating 46,000 meant for irrigation, reduce the return of the funds to the town by 32,000, which those two numbers don't add up, for a total return of 132,000 to fund the cyber incident. So so we have 132,000 designated right now to fund the cyber incident. Is that correct?
No, the 132 is what was still going back to the town. We had 97 that was to fund the cyber incident. So what was stated was that 132 was what was going to be left of the money that we were originally returning to the town. The 65 plus the 32 that we were going to pull out of that 132 remaining, because it was 164, adds together to get the 97,000. That would become the 197 total if we get the 100,000.
That is
back.
the most confusing. This doesn't make any sense. Is there some way to clean line item it to say, to reverse the decision? And we'll have to redo the motion.
Well, I
probably,
think,
but how do we
honestly, I
make
think
it-
what we would do is reverse the decision to return any of the money to the town, if that's what we decide to do. And then what we would do is simply state up to whatever amount we want out of non-lapsing to be able to be used to fund for the cyber incident.
Right.
I think that would be the cleanest way to do it.
Absolutely.
So the first motion that's on the table right now is the idea of not returning that excess money to the town. And then what we would be doing following that, depending on how that goes, because, right, if that gets voted down, then we sit with what we've got. If we change that and pull that money in, then we can rephrase what we said before and simply say, use non-lapsing to fund the cyber incident up to a certain amount.
Yeah, to me, that's so much cleaner. I mean, those numbers you just gave me, first of all, don't match the motion whatsoever. That's in our minutes. And then, I don't know, I would like something cleaner personally.
I think the 132 is actually kind of an estimation of what we thought was going to be coming back after the audit. And that was what was going to be given back. So I think that 132 is just kind of a speculative, arbitrary number that we assumed was coming back post audit.
Okay, thank you. All right, so your motion is to put all funds.
My motion would be that the money previously voted to be returned to the town will instead go into our non-lapsing account.
All right, can we even make it broader because there was a dollar sign to that to say any remaining funds after the audit will go into our non-lapsing account? So there's no
Is that not what I
dollar
just
sign
said?
attached to it?
I didn't give a dollar sign, did I?
Well, this one says to return
Oh, no, but I didn't say that
132,000.
in my motion. My motion was just that all the money remaining that we had, because we had voted on a specific amount of money to go back to the town.
Yeah,
My motion would be that we reverse that decision.
okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, all right, so we're all, just for final comment, we're all on the same page at this point that any excess is going to be returned to non-lapsing this year. Right, but just for my discussion piece. Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to return excess after audit into non-lapsing. Okay. And-
All money, right? So not even what, not separated out, all of it. Okay, yes.
Yes, okay. Amy, coming from the Board of Finance, do you have any comments, thoughts?
Yes, in any right mind, I would not support this. But under the circumstances of the cyber incident, I do support the Board of Ed keeping this money in the loop. However, I do still question it going to the non-lapsing. I think there's going to be a little bit of turmoil over that. But if that's what the board decides to do and they think it's best, I do support that. But I do think we need to be maintaining transparency because these numbers are going to keep climbing. And I think eventually you are going to have to go to the town for an appropriation. So I think as forthright as we can be with them, in all instances, we need to be. They're going to come after you for the non-lapsing numbers, as you know, and rightfully so from a town standpoint. But I think you need to be as clean and transparent as possible with that.
All right. So just
Can I just
Yeah.
ask, there isn't another place for us to put the money.
Well, I know, and that's why I said.
Oh, okay.
It
No, I was
must-
confused because you said that you would prefer that it would go somewhere else, but I don't
Yeah.
know that the only option we have
I
is
don't want to
non-lapsing.
support this, but you're getting bills by the day, so you need the money in the account to be able to pay these bills.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your feedback. All right, so all those in favor? Opposed? Abstained. Okay. And do we need to do anything about a line item in the non-lapsing for the cyber?
Yes.
Okay. So right now, the line item is how much, Troy?
Wait, can I
It was-
just,
go
we need to
ahead.
be careful because we don't have the money yet.
But there was some that
We have some money because we have the 46, we have the 20 that's possibly left over, but again, that's not done yet. Plus so we have only about $100,000 in non-lapsing. We actually have less than that because we have minus the 32. So we've got like 75 grand in non-lapsing and that's it.
And whatever's been spent, because
Yeah, I don't know what
Some
that's
bills
already
came in,
gone,
so-
but so the most, at the moment, the most that we can do prior to the audit coming through is what's in there, which I have to be honest, I would make a motion that we use non-lapsing to pay any amount of the cyber incident that needs to be paid prior to the audit. And just leave it at that, because I think that as those come in, I want Kathy to be able to just pay them. And then once the audit comes, we can start talking final dollar amounts and what we have versus what we need and how that's going to work out. So I think we can make a clean motion like that
Yes.
to override the previous one. So I would just say, I would make a motion to use any amount of money in the non-lapsing account that is not already obligated to fund bills toward this cyber incident.
I'll second.
But then, okay, sorry, but I'm just trying to make this very clear, but we've already de-obligated.
46,000
Right.
from irrigation.
So what is, I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out. What is that actual number that we de-obligated?
I believe it was 65,000.
That, okay, that's,
is what you,
I have
wait,
66.
well, no, you did, yes, you did. You did, well, it was 46 plus a 19 from somewhere. It
Yeah.
wasn't legal fees necessarily, it was somewhere else, but
Where
you.
was that?
No, the 19 was just out of, that was
Right.
out of the actual remaining balance.
Right.
Right,
Right,
okay.
for a total of 65,000.
I have,
which
I have
said I could
66.
use on.
Do you,
cyber
and I guess,
incident.
I guess I would ask, as of now, we haven't de-obligated the 20. So I would make a motion within my motion to de-obligate the 20,000 remaining from the teacher contract and open that up to the previous motion regarding use of those monies for the cyber incident.
So let's make, can we, to make it clean, make two motions, first to deobligate money and approve that, and then the second motion to give all monies in the non-lapsing fund to the cyber incident.
We can, or we can,
Well, because you get a motion within a motion, that's kind of,
which is how you do it, though.
I
is to
know,
make
it
a
just
motion within a
looks
motion.
kind of,
Okay.
I just think to Amy's point, to keep it.
Nobody's
super
seconded my
clean.
motion, so I'll just pull the second motion.
Okay. I mean, I know you can do a motion within a motion, but I'm just saying to make it super clean, it might look better to first deobligate, approve that, and then
I
move all
also
the
know,
funds
I know
over.
this isn't normal, policy, but in this instance, I really think that the Board of Finance needs to see the exact expenses and receipts for this. I know for actual education expenses, that does not happen, but in this instance, it really is a bigger issue, and it needs to be transparent.
I agree, and that's gonna, once we get that list and once, that's kind of a work in progress because it's evolving, but I think if we can get what we know now from that list, then we will share that information.
So I apologize. Now I'm confused because the way you phrased that was to deobligate the 21st and then make the second motion instead of making them together. But the only motion on the floor right now is to use any and all monies in the non-lapsing
Okay.
to pay.
Okay, so
for-
all those in favor to do that? Aye, okay. Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. I would also make a motion, although I guess my issue with this, and I don't know, we don't have non-lapsing per se. I don't know if it's okay for me to make a motion on the 20,000. It is specifically tied to the idea of the expenses for the cyber incident. And therefore, I think I can make it even though it's not on the agenda that we would be addressing non-lapsing funds. But
Well,
if you are okay with it, I would make a motion to deobligate the $20,000 remaining from the teacher contract negotiations.
I would be okay with it. Somebody will probably call us out on it. So I think we have time by now until December. I don't think you're gonna have all of it spent between now and December, do you, Troy?
I mean, we don't have to pay our bills on time.
Well,
I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay for a month. I mean, like I said, I got a bill that came in today.
And is it
So
something
I
we
think they
can?
can wait 5 weeks to get it.
I would say that for purposes of transparency, I would wait on that one. Do it as needed.
Well, if as needed comes up before December, I mean, throw a quick special on if we needed to
right.
That's true.
deobligate that money and
Yes.
get it to where it needs to be.
I just think because it is a special meeting and we're probably being watched very closely, that somebody could say that we did something not on the agenda. So,
Could I just request that at the next meeting, we also see the non-lapsing? I'm totally lost of where we are. I just
Sure.
need the numbers, what we're
right, and
deobligating.
part of that is because Kathy's out of town,
Yeah.
so she wasn't able to,
It's
she's,
gonna be heavy finance. I think.
yeah.
Perfect.
so. Okay, so we've made the motion to at least preserve the money from the overage at the end of the audit and going back into non-lapsing. Okay. Yes, okay. Good. Just so I'm clear, sorry. Any other discussion on any of this before we move on? Thank you, and thank you for letting me bring it up again. All right. And then we did receive some policy first reads, and you want to go ahead, Troy?
Yeah, I could just make a few comments on them. They are here for first reads. The first one is on challenging behavior prevention, restorative practices response. It's a mandated one that we do not yet have. So we do need to have this. This is the CABE recommended one. I've reviewed it with my administrators. Just to point out that we've been doing restorative practices for 3 or 4 years in district, and we're quite proud of the work we've done and the impact it's has. But now we're required to have a policy on it. So that's what this is here. Basically, it's not just giving a child a consequence for their behavior, but actually teaching them how to learn from it and hopefully heal the harm that was done, if there was such harm to another person or so it's really about teachable moments when kids make behavior decisions. And then the second one has to do with gifted and talented program. We actually have one of these policies, and it is here. It's probably after the first one, and it was really short, and it just kind of said, hey, you gotta identify some kids that are gifted and talented. But the newer policy, which I would recommend we really take a look at and maybe adopt next time, it tells us how do we go about that. And the reality is we haven't been going about it in a formal way here. But I've been working with my administrators, and they're working on developing a more formal process for actually doing this. And it would be in compliance with this new policy, which is what CABE's recommended. And it is a policy we're supposed to have. And again, we have one, but it's from 2007. So I would say we take the new one and we make sure we have the practices that are aligned. Yeah, this is mandated. You need to have it. And there's then
Troy, may I ask
related.
you a question? So CABE policies are recommended, however, some are mandated, but
Right,
the
so
Board of
CABE
Education in general can create their own policies.
They can, but usually there's certain policies that boards of ed have to have by law.
Right.
You sort of have to have certain ones, and they're called mandated ones. Other ones are, they call them recommended, and we have some of those, but we've been, as a board, we've been kind of going through and saying, hey, let's make sure we have the mandated ones, and we don't really need the recommended ones necessarily, and we've bypassed some of the recommended ones just to kind of keep the number of policies down. And if it's a state law, we got to do it anyway, whether we have a policy or not.
Right. So for the challenging behavior disorder practices response, have teachers and paras in the building been surveyed in any way to get their view on these practices, like their effectiveness in the classroom and overall?
Well, we do surveys every year about like how's it going in school and all that of students and staff and parents. So specifically questions about restorative practices, I don't know if they've asked those questions, but
It might be a good idea to survey teachers
it might be, but
and paras.
yeah, certainly, absolutely. But it is something that we don't have a choice. We actually have to do it too.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, to survey what people think. Yeah.
Because if we're
absolutely.
making these policies, we're not in their classrooms and they know how it could be affecting them, or they might have better ideas.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Surveying them for the ideas is a good idea. All right. So the next one related to this one.
And just
is-
to kind of, just for Amy's benefit though, I mean, we can ask surveys of how it's working and everything, but we don't have a choice. Like, we don't have a choice to change the language. It follows all these statutes. So when we're trying to put in maybe policies that aren't by statute, that might give us a little more leverage, but we also try to eliminate that or keep it at a minimum, because we did about, I don't know, 3 years ago, we eliminated like 170 policies because we had the biggest, longest, most complicated policy booklet. So we try to really only add policy as we really need to, and then stick with our mandates. Just for clarification as you're coming in.
And this next policy on challenging curriculum is one that we do not have, but it is a mandated policy. And I think once we do these three here that I'm bringing to you, I think we'll be pretty much up to speed on all the mandated policies. I know Chet and I had take a look at that, and I think this will bring us up to speed. Let's just these last ones on the gifted and talented and challenging curriculum require the administrators to really take a hard look at that, look at our current practices, and say, okay, how could we do better to align to what these policies are asking us to do. So we've started that work. This one has to do with challenging curriculum for grade 8 and 9. So it's similar to the gifted and talented one, and there's actually identification process listed on page 2 here. But we got to make sure that we have to make sure we're challenging all kids in appropriate ways. And we have to look at what we're currently doing is that meeting this, or how could we do something different that would meet this better?
And these are
So
required,
This is required, it's
because it doesn't
mandated.
say that on the top usually. it
The
does.
challenging curriculum one is a new one this year. It is a it's a mandated policy that specifically has to do with the idea of placement of gifted and talented students within those programs and classes that are going to be the most challenging for them.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's one of those that I think is kind of a moot point for us, because if kids want to take an AP class at Wheeler, they get to take an AP class at Wheeler. In the ECE classes that are available and those pieces of things. I think the big piece would be, like those situations where we've provided AP classes remotely. That type of stuff is, I mean, there could be demands that would be placed on us based on gifted and talented identification. But generally speaking, I think it's a bigger issue if you're at a large school where you don't have enough classes available necessarily for all the kids who are looking to take the AP or the ECE courses. And then therefore, what you need to do is give priority to those students who have been identified as gifted and talented.
Okay, thank you.
It's actually a little bit more than that too, because the state does send out information to schools based on kids' test scores that identify whether or not a kid should be taking higher level courses. So let's say a kid's been taking college prep math, but they have really good math scores. The state's gonna say this kid really should be placed into one of these, and then letters go out. At least I know from schools I work with and around, they send that out to the family saying like, we are going to recommend your child for this based on these factors.
Okay, thank you.
In the last policy, I threw in here as a first read, simply, it's not a mandated one, but you do have it, but it is from 2007. So I found a more updated one about visitors in schools. So I don't know if you want to continue to have a policy for that, but it gives a little bit more specific language and some alternative language options. But I would say just kind of go with the first page if you're going to do it. If you want to update, I was kind of thinking maybe we want to start updating policies from 2007.
I think it's always a bad look to have the
And
older
it
policies.
might be a good one to have about visitors in schools.
Great.
This is one that I remember bringing up when I first got on the board, because I made a comment that I was allowed to enter the building when I wanted to as a board member.
Yeah.
And people argued with me about whether or not that was true. And I said, no, we have a policy that states as a board member, I can just show up. And as long as I am not doing it on and I don't know that that's a good thing to have.
Right.
But that was my comment at the time, was that our visitors policy is very open to the sense that as long as the administrator is there and you show up, you can visit the building.
Yeah. I do like this more detailed
Yeah.
one better, definitely. Okay, great.
Yeah, so those are the policies as a first read. And so I would suggest possibly between now and then, maybe I would get together with a few people who want to talk about policy, and we maybe look through them more detail together, and then maybe we present to the board. And vote on them.
Do you want them on the next meeting then?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
And it also gives my administrators a little bit more time to look through the gifted and talented one and the identification process in the more formal way, and the challenging curriculum one, just to make sure that we are in alignment with what this policy says.
I would be curious to talk to other school districts as well, because I know that the OLSAT used to be what most people used for this. And I've been told that that's not the more common way to be doing gifted and talented identification anymore. So you may just want to, a lot of schools have stopped doing OLSAT has been what
Yeah,
people have told me.
We
So
are looking at what other schools are doing currently, and the OLSAT has come up in conversation. So we are, examining that. And like you said, though, other schools, April was actually taking the lead on that, because it actually falls under the special education, gifted and talented.
Do you think you'll have enough time to do that between now and the December meeting, or should we do the restorative practices mandated one for sure in December and maybe give you till January to do the other three, or
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
maybe you have a
Maybe we
holiday
could play it
coming
by
in and-
ear, and when we set the
We'll put it
agenda-
on, and if you can't get to it,
Yeah.
you don't get to it. Okay.
I would also say that, I mean, it's okay for us to put a policy in place and then there to be a working time, right? The expectation isn't always that you put in a policy and the next day everybody's doing everything in the policy. That would be tenable.
Mhm.
So if we were to say that this was the policy moving forward, it would just mean that there's progress being made on it. So I think that if we put it in the December one, and that just, then we have our mandated policies on book, and the responsibility kind of shifts into the idea that now what we need to be doing is implementing that according to state law. So
Thank you. Calendar.
I don't have anything for calendar this time. However, I'll let you know that Brandon has been working on a calendar for next school year. And I think next meeting, we might be ready to bring it to you.
Oh, man. All right.
Well, that's about in December, so you'll have like 3 months.
And that meeting is December 10th, correct? All right.
Joy, just so you know, my email is not working yet, but Brandon and Greg are on it.
I know.
Just so the public knows, if I haven't noticed.
I know, I'm not
Thank
gonna
you.
do that tonight.
Yeah, thank you. They're working on it.
Can we get a,
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Comments for future agenda items?
Calendar's gonna take up most of it.
Yeah, I think if possible, again, trying to keep our meeting short, I'd like us to take 15 minutes just to talk about our subcommittees next time. Maybe putting together like a leadership team of some sort, just kind of what kind of makeup we'd like to see. And I really would like to know what communication plan you'd like from me. So I want to know what your expectations are, and I want to make sure I fulfill them. So if we could just take some time to discuss that at the next one. Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
we should also add on there the new board seat,
The what?
new board, the
Oh,
vacancy.
yes. I spaced that, all right. And then public comment in the room, any online? I'm sure there's some, yes. All right, Winona?
Hi, good evening. This is Winona Burdine, citizen, 216 Casetta Kill Road. First, I have a
Winona, hold up.
question.
You're not being heard.
Just hold on,
a second.
Winona. I'll let you know when we can. hear you, recognize you. Okay, can you try speaking now, Winona?
Hi, Winona Burdine, 216 Casetta Kill Road.
Yes.
I'm dialing in as a citizen. Thanks for hearing me. My first question is maybe some clarification around the returning of funds from the end of the fiscal year. I'm hoping that you can provide some clarification on what statute says when funds actually have to be returned. My research only brings me to Connecticut Statute 10-248A, which says that funds must be returned at the end of the fiscal year. It does not mention anything about requiring the end of the audit. This is also the statute that allows for the keeping of the up to 2% for the non-lapsing account. So I don't know if that's something that you can address at a later time, kind of pointing to statute of when those funds actually have to be returned to the town.
Okay, I will look into that.
And then I have a second question or a comment. Connecticut General Statute 10-248C requires that boards of ed publish quarterly their current and projected expenditures and revenues online to their Board of Ed website. And I note that the Board of Ed has not published this quarterly report since the second quarter of 2024.
Thank you. I will take a look at that. We'll make sure we get it updated.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? I'm not seeing any. Can we get a motion to adjourn? I'll make a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?